In today's class, we are going to discuss about one of the tool of recombinant DNA technology, that is vector. Okay, in previous class, we discussed what is the basic of recombinant DNA technology and what are the important molecular biology tools which are used in the recombinant DNA technology. In the previous class, we discussed about the restriction enzyme of biological scissor, and then we discuss about the DNA ligases. Now, the third very important tool in the recombinant DNA technology is a vector. So today we are going to discuss in detail about the vector. Okay, so let's start. What is vector? So when I'm talking about the vector, it is basically a molecule, okay, or a vehicle that carries your gene of interest into the suitable host, or it carries the DNA fragment that you want it to be cloned, okay, or that you want to be in multiple copies, or that you want it to be expressed in the suitable host. So carrying your gene of interest into the suitable host is done by one of the vehicle molecule that is known as a vector. You can directly insert the naked DNA or gene DNA fragment inside the cell. But when you insert that DNA, what will happen? It won't multiply. It won't replicate. Where suppose if your host is a bacteria, okay, and you are inserting the DNA directly, transforming directly into the bacteria, what will happen? It get inserted inside the bacterial cell, but when the daughter cells will form, it won't go to the daughter cell. It means it won't multiply. You won't get the multiple copies of a particular gene. So the vector, what it used to do, it carries your DNA fragment inside the bacterial, inside the host. It may be bacteria, it may be eukaryotic cell. Okay. So what happens when it carries your gene of interest or a DNA fragment that you want to be cloned or to be expressed? Okay. It goes inside the host cell where it can replicate, it multiply itself. Okay. So the vector is a DNA molecule which has the ability to self-replicate or replicate autonomously in a suitable host, and it serves as a vehicle that carry your gene of interest or a DNA fragment that needs to be cloned. Okay. Uh, so therefore, the vector must have some features which enable this DNA molecule or this engineered DNA molecule to perform the desired function. So these are like origin of replication. The origin of replication enables the vector to autonomously replicate inside the host cell. Okay, and so it means it must have the origin of replication, origin of DNA replication. So any extra chromosomal small genome like plasmid or a phase virus, okay, it can be used as a vector. Okay, this is the example of one of the plasmid vector, PUC19. Here P stand for plasmid, UC stand for University of California, and 19 stand for the plasmid code or the lab number, the code or the given to the particular plasmid. This is one of the plasmid widely used in the molecular biology for plasmid vector. Okay. So now what are the properties of the good vector? As I have told, when the vector carries a gene of interest inside the suitable host, it must have some of the properties. Okay. Then only you will be able to get the multiple copies inside the transformed host. Okay. So the very first property it needs, it must be able to replicate autonomously. Okay, so it means it must carry one origin of DNA replication, so that when it get inserted inside the host cell, it can replicate. Okay, then second, small is size. Why there is a requirement of a small is size? Because when it will be small is size, handling the small DNA molecules, okay, is easier. Okay, and transforming the small size molecule inside the suitable host is also easy, because when the DNA molecule is smaller in size, the cell or the host cell will accept it easily. Okay, generally what we do, we used to prepare the host cell for the transformation. There are several methods for the transformation, like we make the cell chemically competent. We used to treat the cell with some chemicals, so it makes the membrane porous. Okay, then there is another method like electroporation, where we give a short electric pulse to the cell, so it also creates the pores on the membrane. And then there are some viruses, okay, where we use the virus capsid. So this virus capsid have an ability to bind on the um, host cell. Then it's basically imputates DNA inside the cell on which it is bind. So, so in all these in transformation process, if the size is small, okay, the transformation will be easy. Okay. Then second, in the vector should be easy to isolate and purify. Suppose you have you generated your recombinant factor. Generated recombinant factor means there is a one vehicle molecule in which you have inserted your gene of interest. Now your vector, if carrying your gene of interest, become recombinant vector. Now you have then what you did, you simply transform it inside the host cell. So after in host cell, it will multiply, number of copies will form. Now, if there is a process of isolation and purification of that particular vector which carries your gene of interest is difficult, then what will be the, it will not help you to get the to achieve your objective. Means suppose you got the recombinant factor, you transformed inside the host cell, but you are not getting the easy isolation or purification. So whenever you use a vector, it should be easily isolated. It can be easily isolated, the recombinant vector, and it can be purified. Then the transformation to the host cell should also be very easy. Means with less efforts, you can transform the vector which carries the gene of interest inside the host cell. Then the suitable marker. Suppose what happened, you have inserted your gene of interest inside the vector. Okay? So whether the and then you perform that by the process of transformation, you have inserted the vector. Okay, there will be three probability. What will happen? Just see, I'll show you. Wait. See, when you mix your gene of interest, suppose this is your gene, suppose this is your gene of interest, and this is your vector. Okay, so there will be three probability. What will one? The probability one, this is your vector in which your gene of insert is ligated or joined here. Okay, then there is a second, then there will be second probability that your vector is self-ligated. Then there is a third probability, your insert and vector, they both are not joined. Okay, so means you have a recombinant vector here. This is non-recombinant one because there is a self-ligation. Okay, about ligation we have discussed in the last class. Okay, so there is a self-ligation. Then the third probability, there is no ligation, neither your insert, okay, nor your vector. Okay, they are free in the solution. So you can get three kind of situation. Now, when you use this mix for transforming the host cell, what will happen? Some of the host cell will receive recombinant vector. Some of the host cell will receive non-recombinant self-ligated vector. Okay, and some of the species get only your insert molecule, and some of the your species may get only the linearized vector. Okay, so now, but what is our requirement? What is our objective? We need to select the cell, the host cell that carries your recombinant vector on. Okay, so for this, uh, we need selectable marker. Okay, so your vector must have one selectable gene where we can select the cell which carries your recombinant vector. Okay. So it must have a suitable marker to allow the easy detection and selection. Then it must have a multiple cloning site, means it must have a region on the vector where there is a site of some of the restriction enzyme, because uh, you in most of the cases your vector is circular. Okay, and if it is not circular, it may be linear or it may be circular. But at some, there must be some fragment where there is a site for different type of restriction enzyme. So when there will be the site of restriction enzyme, what will happen? You can cut your uh, insert, means the gene of interest, as well as your vector with the same restriction site. So it will generate the same uh, ends, restriction ends for ligation. Okay. So it must carry multiple cloning site. Okay. Then if your purpose is cloning a particular insert, means you simply want to integrate the DNA into the host cell, and then you need a multiple copy. So it must have the ability to insert inside the host cell. Suppose your uh, objective is to get the end product, means to get the protein, the transgenic protein or the recombinant protein in the host, then it should carry suitable control and regulatory element for transcription as well as translation. So it depends if your objective is to transfer the gene into the host. Okay, so it must integrate into the host, or if you want the recombinant protein to be expressed in your host, then it should carry suitable control or regulatory elements like suitable promoters and enhancers for transcription and translation. Okay, so these are some of the very important properties of the good vector. If a vehicle molecule or vector that can be able to carry your gene of interest into the suitable host, it must carry these properties. Then there is basically two type of vectors. Okay, the one is the cloning vector, another one is the expression vector. When we talk about the cloning vectors are basically the vector that is used for the propagation of DNA insert. Means you are cloning a single fragment and you want multiple copies of that insert. Okay, so the vector which actually carries your gene of interest, and when it transform into the host cell after replication, you will get multiple copies, okay, of that recombinant vector. That is actually the cloning vector. Another one is the expression vector. These are the designed molecule or the design vector, okay, which actually express the DNA insert. Means if suppose you have inserted a DNA that codes for a hemoglobin protein, say in this example, it codes for a hemoglobin protein. So what will happen? This expression vector will carry all the regulatory elements, the promoters and other things that helps in the transcription of your hemoglobin gene which is inserted. Okay, so these kind of vector are known as a expression vector, where you can harvest or purify or isolate your desired recombinant protein. This is the expression vector. Now, what are the common features that present in all the vectors? Means when I was discussing about the vector in the very first slide, I have told that any extra chromosomal small size of DNA can be used as a vector. So actually, it may be plasmid, it may be virus, it may be the DNA segments from different animals joined together. Okay, so when we talk about the vector, any small size DNA which have that can be used as a vector, but it must have some features, some that can make them a suitable vehicle or a carrier. Okay, so there are different type of vectors like plasmid vectors, then bacteriophage vector, then artificial chromosomes, cosmic vector, phasmid vectors. We will take on the type of vector also later in this class. So all type of vectors, they must have some common features. So these out of there are several desired character, but these the common features which is present in all the vectors, they are basically three features. Okay, the number one, it must be able to replicate in the host cell. It means it should carry the origin of DNA replication. So all the vectors have origin of DNA replication. Then it must contain the selectable marker for identification and isolation. Means suppose you have transformed the vector inside the whole cell, then there must be a marker, there must be a provision with the help of that, means with the help of expression of that particular gene, or with the help of presence of that particular gene, you will be able to identify the transformed and non-transformed colony, and from the transformed colony, which colony is transformed by the recombinant vector and which colony is transformed by the non-recombinant vector. So there must be some selectable markers on vectors. That multiple cloning site or polylinkers, means there must be a region where there are several restriction enzyme sites, okay, or the linker sequences that accommodates you or that provide the space for insertion of the gene of interest. So now this is a typical structure of a vector. It must have origin of DNA replication. It must have some selectable marker, antibiotic resistant marker, selection marker, and select. These two are the selection. There must be two selection markers. One antibiotic resistance and another we'll discuss in detail, and then MCS, multiple cloning site. Here you can see that at this gray color multiple cloning site, there is a recognition sequence for so many restriction enzyme like EcoR1, then BAMH1, okay, HIN3. These are the restrictions. These are the uh, restriction enzymes, and this MCS contains the restriction site or the recognition site of all these restriction enzymes. So actually, at this is this place in the vector where it provides the space for the accommodation of the means at this position your DNA of your DNA or the your gene of interest will come and bind. Okay, so why this MCS is present inside the selectable marker? Okay, that we will see the next slide. Here you can see that one of the selectable marker or marker gene in most of the vector is LAGZ. LAGZ is basically a gene that actually code for beta galactosidase. So what happened? This beta galactosidase breaks the X gal or X galactose into the blue color compound. Okay, so what happened if this gene is complete? Means if there is a no insertion of any foreign DNA or your gene of interest, what will happen? This vector will code for this gene is not interrupted. So the vector will code the complete protein, means this vector will code for the beta galactosidase. So what happened? This beta galactosidase will convert the X-gal into the blue color molecule. So what happened if your here you can see there. So because there is a no interruption, no gene of interest, so this is inserted inside the when it is transformed into the bacteria, the blue color colonies will form. Why? Because this gene is your selectable gene is not interrupted. There is no gene get inserted at this position. So the beta galactosidase enzyme is secreted. This beta galactosidase converted X-gal into the blue color compound, and you will get the colonies which are blue in color. In next step, what happened? At MCS, which is inside the reading frame of lag cell. Okay, what happened? It get inserted. This red color is your gene of interest. So this, when your gene of interest, okay, is inserted, the operon or the open reading frame of this lag Z is get interrupted. So what will happen? There will be no synthesis of beta galactosidase. If there will be no synthesis of beta galactosidase, it won't convert the X-gal into the blue color compound. And if you transform your recombinant vector in the bacteria and then you propagate it on the plate which carries the X-gal, because it is not converting the X-gal into the blue color compound, so you will get the white color colony. It means if your vector carries your gene of interest inside the MCS, which is present inside the lagzine, then you will get the white color colony. And if your vector is non-transformed, means it does non-recombinant, sorry, non-recombinant means it is not carrying your gene of interest, then you will get the blue color colony. So here you will see, suppose you when you used to set the reaction for means ligation reaction, where you have taken your gene of interest and where you have taken your vector and then you perform the ligation. So there is a probability you will get two kind of vector, the non-recombinant vector and your recombinant vector. Your recombinant vector is carrying your gene of interest and your non-recombinant vector is not carrying the gene of interest. And when you basically transform these the mix into the bacterial cell and you will propagate it in particular media, you will get both the colonies. You will get the white color colonies as well as the blue color colonies. So from this white color colony, you can choose, it means this is the colony which carries your recombinant vector. So this white color colony you can use further for obtaining the multiple copy of your white color, sorry, multiple copies of your recombinant vector. So this is how the selectable marker works. Means this is example of one of the selectable marker like LAGZ. In some vectors there is a antibiotic resistance gene which serve as a selectable markers. Okay. So it depends. So basically the selectable marker is a marker with the help of that, the presence of that gene actually ensures, okay, whether the colony which you are getting after the transformation is carrying the recombinant vector or non-recombinant vector. Okay, now we will discuss in detail what are the different elements needs to be present in the vector. The number one, the origin of replication, okay, which is required for initiation of replication. Then it must have the antibiotic resistant gene. It allows the selection of plasmid containing bacteria. Means if your vector carries the antibiotic resistance gene, what happened after transformation? We used to grow the host cell on antibiotic medium. Okay, the growth media which also carries the antibiotic. So in that medium, only those bacteria will grow that carries your vector. Okay, then it must have a multiple cloning site, which allow the easy insertion of the DNA because it carries several restriction sites for different type of restriction enzyme. Okay, then insert. Your recombinant vector must have the insert. Okay, so the DNA fragment must be inside the MCS. Then it must have a promoter region if your objective is the expression. Your vector is expression vector where you want the recombinant protein. Okay, then it must have a promoter, because when there will be the promoter, the transcription will occur and then the translation get your recombinant protein. Then it must have a selectable marker. Okay, the selectable marker is a marker where you can differentiate the transformed cell which carries the recombinant vector or the non-recombinant vector, like we discussed just about the lag Z. Okay, then it must have a primer binding site. Okay, so most of the vectors have short sequences of some conserved primers. Okay, like M13 primer. Okay, forward reverse. Because of the presence of these sequences, this plasmid can directly be used for the sequencing. Okay, where you can use this primer for the sequence verification of your recombinant vector. So now the type of vectors, as I have told, any extra chromosomal DNA which have this self-replicating capacity, which have a selectable marker, and MCS can be served as a vector. Okay, so there are several types of such engineered DNA molecules which can be served as vector, which can carry the gene of interest into the suitable host. There are some of the examples of vectors like plasmid vector, bacteriophage vector, cosmid vector, phasmid vector, phasmid vector, artificial, and then some of the artificial chromosomes like bacterial artificial chromosome, BAC, then YAC, yeast artificial chromosome, then PAC, P1 derived artificial chromosome, MAC, mammalian artificial chromosomes. The artificial chromosomes are basically the engineered DNA molecule which have a capacity to carry large size of DNA fragments like 100 to 300 to even 1000 kb of DNA fragments. And these artificial chromosomes are basically the vectors which carries a very large insert site, and they use for the whole genome sequencing. Like in human genome sequencing, the BAC libraries were used. Okay, BAC vectors actually carries a large fragments of the human genome, and then it used for the sequencing. Okay, so these the bacteria, when there is a requirement of getting a more copies of large DNA fragment, then we generally use the artificial chromosome vectors like BAC, YAC, PAC, or MAC. So now first with the plasmid vector. Okay, so plasmid are basically what? They are basically a short self-replicated molecule which is present inside the bacteria like E. coli. Okay, so many different, the E. coli have different kind of plasmids. Okay, so some of those natural plasmids, they are modified, they are reconstructed, recombined, and shortened to be used as a vector. Means a natural plasmid which is present inside the E. coli cannot be directly used as a vector, because when we talked about the vector, what we have seen, it must have some properties. When it have those properties like origin of replication, MCS, antibiotic resistant genes, some selectable marker, okay, uh, some restriction site on the on MCS. So if we need all those features on the vector, so natural plasmid doesn't mean carry all these things all together. Okay, so uh, uh, in the case of plasmid vector, the natural vector is taken from the E. coli and it is modified, restructured to to create a vector or a vehicle which have the enhanced utility, specific function that can be used for cloning or expression. So examples are PBR322, PUC1819, PZ and PTZ57RTs. These are some of the examples of plasmid vector. This PBR322 is a vector which is one of the first widely used E. coli cloning vector. This P represents in this PBR322, the P represent plasmid, B represent the name of the scientist Bolivar, and R represent the name of the another scientist Rodriguez. Okay, so the Bolivar and Rodriguez, they actually developed this plasmid in their cell. This 322 is a code which they have given to this plasmid. So the P plasmid, B Bolivar, R Rodriguez. So this is the PBR322 is the first widely used E. coli cloning vector. Now this vector is not in use because there are several other more advanced with a more utility has been developed, so it is not used now. Okay, but some of the origin of replication, ampicillin resistance gene, okay, they are still used in other vector like UC 18 and 19. It represents plasmid U University C California. So this is also a plasmid which is developed from from same university, that is 1819. It still carry the reason of the PBR 322. Okay, so this is the UC 19 vector. Here you can see it has its own origin of replication. Then it has one of the selectable marker, Lang-Z alpha, and one ampicillin resistant gene. Okay. Now the bacteriophage vector. The bacteriophage are basically the viruses that can attack the bacteria. Okay, so these bacteriophage viruses can also be used as a cloning vector. Why it can be used as a cloning vector? What happened when any virus infect a cell? What it used to do, it basically transferred its DNA inside the host cell, and where it get inserted into the host genome and it replicates with the help of host cell machinery. Means it replicate, it multiply itself by exploiting the host cell replication machinery. So virus have very good mechanism to transfer its genetic material inside the host cell. It have a very good mechanism. It have a very established system that helps in the insertion of a viral genome into the host cell genome. So if you use and the virus have carries a virus genome, suppose a virus which have a gene size of 10 kb or 15 kb, suppose. So out of that 10 to 15 kb, not all 10 kb is coding, okay, or essential. If it may be coding, but it may not be essential. Means suppose if you remove 3, 4 or 5 kb of the region, a non-essential region from the virus, then it won't affect its ability to replicate, its ability to infect, its ability for lysis. Okay, so that if you remove that non-essential part and then you basically insert your gene of insert there, then what will happen? It carries all the features. It carries the features which is required for origin of replication, which is required for the infection of the host cell, okay, which is responsible for coding the caps, the protein which form the body cover or the capsid, okay, or it may code, or genes which code for the insertion of the virus inside the host cell, okay. Everything is intact, but you basically remove the non-essential side and inserted your own gene. So what happened now? This virus can be served as a vehicle because it you basically infect your vector to the host cell. So it uses its own mechanism of infection. It goes inside the host cell. It get inserted inside the bacterial genome, and then it will replicate with the when the cell replicates. So your virus DNA will replicating along with your gene of interest. So that's why the bacteriophages or any virus, it can be also used as a good cloning vector. So there are the most common bacteriophage vectors are E. coli, phase lambda, and M13. If there is a plasmid vector already exists, then why there is a requirement of the virus vector? So because it has some advantage over the plasmid. The very first advantage, it is more efficient for cloning larger DNA fragment. It can clone up to 24 kb of the DNA fragment. And transformation to the host cell is easier with the phase particle because phase particle itself have a very good mechanism for infecting the host cell and transferring its own genetic material inside the host cell. Okay, so transformation is easy, and easier transformation is one of the required characteristic in your good vector. Okay, There are some of the examples like lambda GT10, lambda GT11, lambda EMBL4. These are some of the examples of the bacteriophage vector. This is one of the bacteriophage vector. Here, the terminal have the cos site. Okay. Then it also have a selectable marker. Okay. Like Z and the selection marker C. Okay. Here, these lambda vector are of two types. One is the insertion vector, another one is the replacement vector. So here we'll see what is the difference between the insertion lambda vector and the replacement lambda vector. Just see. Suppose this is your lambda vector. Lambda vector. So what happened? There is some reason like here to here. It is cos side. Or side, cohesive side. Cos represent means cohesive side. Okay, because this side, the presence of this sequences at terminal end of the vector helps integration of the viral vector inside the bacterial genome. Okay, or inside the whole cell genome. So then there is some other. Suppose there is a reason which code for some other essential protein which is required. Suppose what capsid protein for making the outer protein coat of the lambda vector. Okay. Then there is suppose some selectable marker. And there is some gene like this to this. Okay. This is non-essential. Non-essential means if it is present, well and good. And if it is not present, it's not going to affect much the virus or the vector. Means if it is present, it's okay. If it is not present, it's not going to affect the capsid formation ability. It's not going to affect the DNA integration into the host genome. It's not going to affect the self-replication ability. So because of this, so there is some reason which is non-essential. So what happened in replacement vector, in replacement lambda vector, this non-essential fragment is replaced by your DNA insert. DNA insert or your gene of interest. So basically it gets replaced. So now in the new vector, at the place of non-essential reason, you are having your DNA insert. So this kind of lambda vector is known as replacement vector. Why? Because the non-essential reason is get replaced by your gene of interest. Then there is another vector which is known as a insertion vector. In insertion vector, what happened? There, suppose this is the lambda vector. It have a cos site at both the ends. Okay. Then suppose it have one selectable marker here. It may be lag Z or any selectable marker. So what happened at this position? Suppose at this position, your DNA insert is get inserted. Okay. So now you are getting so this is your insertion vector. So there is basically two type of vectors are found. One are the insertion vector and another one are the replacement vector. So both kind of vectors can be made from the bacteriophage DNA. So here you can see that, okay, this is your insertion vector, where at this site your new DNA insert, this blue color DNA insert is inserted. In the replacement vector, this non-essential yellow color fragment or the orange color fragment is replaced by your new DNA fragment. Okay, so this is the insertion vector, this is the replacement vector. Now the cosmid. Okay, this the cosmid is a vector which is made up of two type of vector. This is the hybrid of plasmid and bacteriophage vector. The cos side is present in the bacteriophage vector, and mid word is used from the plasmid. So cosmid means a hybrid of plasmid and bacteriophage vector. Okay, so basically why it is a hybrid? Because it contains the reason or DNA regions from both the from plasmid DNA, also from vector, from viral DNA also. So just see, it contains the origin of replication from bacteria, E. coli, plasmid. Okay, it contains the origin of replication from the E. coli plasmid that helps it to maintain as a plasmid in the bacterial cell, and it carries the lambda cos site. Okay, basically, cosmid is a plasmid that carries the cos side of lambda bacteriophage. Okay, so why there is a requirement? Why this cos side is present in the cosmid, and what has the advantage? So when any plasmid have a cos site, okay, so this cos site is act as a substrate for in vitro packaging, because cos site is the only sequence that is required by phase that is required to be recognized as a by the lambdas, by the proteins that packs the DNA into the lambda phase particle. Means if a cosmid is basically a plasmid, it carries the cos site, and because of the presence of the cos site, your plasmid can be get packed into the phase particle. Okay, this in the entire structure, entire backbone of your vector is of plasmid. It carries all the sequence and feature of the plasmid, but it carries the cos site of the bacteriophage name. And because of the presence of that bacteriophage, if your cell have the infection of the helper bacteriophage virus, your cosmid or your vector will easily get packed into the phase particle. Okay, so it helps in the easy isolation, and it carries and this cosmid accommodate the large size of DNA insert. It can accommodate up to 40 kb of the DNA insert. There are some of the example of cosmid like SiPrCos1, then PJB8, then PWeb. These are some of the examples of the cosmid vector. Okay, what are the advantages? As I have told, it can clone very large fragment up to 40 to 47 kb. Then insertion, then the handling of plasmid is much easier than the virus. Okay, so if you have the virus properties in a plasmid vector, so it simply easy the handling. Then disadvantage, okay. When the plasmid size is very large, it is not easy to handle. Okay, then phasmid vector. This is also a hybrid vector. Okay, this is basically a plasmid vector that contains the origin of replication from phase virus in addition of that of the plasmid. Means phasmid vector have two origin of replication. One origin of replication from plasmid, and one origin of replication from bacteriophage. Here, this is the example of phasmid vector is a blue script vector. Here you can see that it has the origin of replication from the plasmid E1, E. coli plasmid E1, and it also have the origin of replication F1, which is the origin of replication for the phase virus. Okay, so with the help of phasmid vector, what is the advantage? The same molecule, it can be used in, it can contain the small fragment of phase like M13, FD or F1. Okay, and is required for the DNA replication and assembly of your vector into the phase particle, and it allows the cloning of large DNA fragments. Okay, and when it is transformed into the suitable host, like the suitable E. coli strain, okay, then what will happen? It basically what happened when we use the phase bin Watke, they need a helper phase. Helper phase is basically the another non-virulent virus that actually code for the capsid protein or the code protein. So it basically help in the packaging of your recombinant phase mid vector. Okay, and then the super infected cell actually from where you can harvest the recombinant phase mid. Okay. Now the plasmid vector. This is a bacteriophage vector, insertion vector, in which the non-essential segment is replaced by the linear plasmid. Means the intact plasmid, intact linear plasmid, which having all the desired features like replication module, like origin of replication, LAGZ gene, antibiotic resistant gene. The entire linear plasmid is get inserted inside the non-essential region of the bacteriophage vector. Okay, example is lambda zap vectors. They are the plasmid vectors. Now the bacterial artificial chromosome. As I have told, the artificial chromosome are basically an engineered molecule that, or the engineered vectors that can carry a large size of a very large piece of DNA. The bacterial artificial chromosome can accommodate the DNA insert from 100 to 300 kb. Okay, so like other vectors, it also have the origin of replication, which allows this vector to get replicated inside the bacteria. Then it have the PAR gene. This PAR gene actually helps in the segregation, the even segregation of the artificial chromosome into the daughter cell. And this LAGZ is the selectable marker, which allow the easy detection of the recombinant the cell which carries the recombinant vector, and CMR is allow the selection of the recombinant cell. This is this antibiotic chromomycin resistant gene, which actually help in the selection of the transformed cell into the selection media. Okay, so this is a basic structure of the bacterial artificial chromosome. It has one origin of replication, one antibiotic selection or resident gene. Then this is a multiple cloning site. Okay, and then this is the PAR gene. The PAR gene helps in the segregation of equal segregation of large bacterial artificial chromosomes into the daughter cell, and this multiple cloning site have the restriction site for several restriction enzyme, and it also has the selectable marker like LAGZ. Okay, so now what are the advantage and disadvantage? They are very they have a very huge capacity. They have a capacity to carry the huge size of fragment. Okay, up to 100 to 300 kilobases. So that is one of the advantage. If you use the back vector, you can clone a very large DNA fragment. But everything have some disadvantage also. If it is difficult to transform because it's large in size. When we were discussing about the properties of the vector, if it is a small size, then insertion or the transformation of the host cell will be easy because they are huge in size. So transformation is difficult, and because they are huge in size, they always present in the low copy number. Means in per cell, the copy of the back is low. So means at the end you won't get as much as the recombinant molecule as you will get in the case of smaller size vectors. Okay. Then another artificial chromosome is the yeast artificial chromosome, which is also known as YAC. It is the genetically engineered chromosome, which is derived from the DNA of yeast, that is Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Okay, cerevisiae. So, which is in which what happened? This is actually some of the chromosomal region from yeast is taken and it is ligated into the bacterial plasmid. So basically, this is a molecule which have the region from the yeast chromosome and which have some of the region from the bacterial plasmid. Okay, and it can carry the insert from 100 to 1000 kilobases. Okay, so like other vector, it also have origin of replication in bacteria. Okay, then it also have, so this is the ori is from for replication in bacteria to generate more DNA or to get the multiple copy. Then it has one reason which is known as CN for centromere. So this CN helps the segregation of yeast artificial chromosome evenly between the daughter cell. In bacterial, we have the PAR gene. In yeast artificial chromosome, we have the centromere or CN gene, which helps in the equal segregation or the even segregation of the YAC in the daughter cell. Then there is a TEL gene. This is a telomere, the gene which is caused for the which is uh, for the formation of the telomere. So this is needed for stability and proper replication of the large size artificial chromosome. So it carries the TL gene also. Then there are selectable markers. It may be LAGZ, it may be the antibiotic marker. So that's why it is mentioned X or Y here. So it have the selectable markers for selection of the transformed cell and the selection of the cell which carries the recombinant vector. And it also have the restriction site like EcoR1 and the BAM-H1. Okay, these the restriction sites actually used for cloning or inserting the gene of interest. Now, what are the difference between these? Because these are two very popular artificial chromosome which is used for cloning the large fragments. Okay, so YAC represent YAC means the yeast artificial chromosome, BAC means the bacterial artificial chromosomes. Okay, then YAC replicates inside the yeast and it used to clone the DNA sequence in yeast cell. Here is the host is yeast cell. In the case of BAC, the host is the bacterial cell. Okay, and it can replicate inside the bacteria. Then basic component of YAC vector is the autonomous replicating sequence, the origin of replication for yeast, then centromeric region which helps in the uh, even segregation of YAC in the daughter cell. Then it have the telomeric region for stability of the vector. Then BAC have the origin of replication from the bacteria. Then it have the gene PAR A, PAR B, which helps in the segregation of BAC in the daughter cell. Then it have the selectable markers like chloramphenicol resistance for the selection of the transform. Then it is a linear vector which have the two telomeric ends, and BAC is the circular vector. Then yeast or the yeast artificial chromosome have the capacity to carry or clone the large fragment which can be up to 3000 kilobases. And here the bacteria, it can also accommodate the large sizes but cannot be more than 350 kilobases. Okay, both these artificial chromosomes are used for the physical mapping and sequencing of the whole genomes. Okay, and advantage, if I'm talking about, if I'm comparing the YAC and BAC, so the YAC can insert the large DNA fragment, but BAC also have some advantage because it is more stable than YAC and it is easy to manipulate bacterial artificial chromosome as compared to its artificial chromosome. This is about today's class. Any questions we'll discuss?